and welcome to Character Class. Now, Character Class is going to be my little show here where I talk about role-playing games. I talk about uh, all things to do with role-playing games. Give you tips, ideas, things I've learned from personal experience, just things to help. And in my first little outing here, I'm going to be giving you my top five do's and don'ts for players. All right, so let's get started. Number five. Number five is do get involved, but don't be a time sink. Now, what I mean by that is, as a player, you want to be involved in the game. You want your character to be doing things, uh, to be advancing, to be moving through. But you don't want to hog all of the time from all of the other players. They're there to do the same thing you are, to advance the story, to advance their characters. They want to play too. And you have to kind of keep that in your mind. It can be very easy to be distracted when you're in the moment and playing the game and not realize that you're taking this away from taking time away from other people. Uh, Sometimes even the storyteller or the dungeon master or the game master, whatever acronym is being used for that system, they don't always notice it either. So as a player, it's good to kind of keep an eye on that and just to be like, okay, let somebody else have a go here. Because not all players are um, very extroverted, very easily managing to speak their mind. Some players can be very shy and very not standoffish, and they don't challenge other people too much. So you want everybody to have a good time. Uh, that's what that one is all about. Number four. Number four is to do be familiar with the rules, but don't be a rules lawyer. Now, I'm sure that many of you out there know what a rules lawyer is. Some of you don't. So, for those that don't, basically, a rules lawyer is somebody that knows the books, knows the rules of the system inside and out, backwards and forwards, upside down, and all this and that. And they are very prone to quoting rules from the books whenever the storyteller or the dungeon master says, okay, this happens. Then they will come out and be like, no, 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 that can't happen because page 273 of the book says blah, 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 blah. You don't want to do that. You really don't want to do that. As a player and as a storyteller, as a game master, uh, particularly, I don't like that as a game master. It rubs me the wrong way personally. I understand maybe you might know the rules better than me, sure, but as a game master, I create the world for the characters to play in. And really, you don't want to you don't want to be that type of person. You want to know the rules, but you don't want to quote them. You want to let the game master have his say because he's the one running the game. He's the one that puts in a lot of effort, or she. Um, Basically, the game master puts in all kinds of effort to set up the world, to create the NPCs, to create the scenarios. Way more effort than a player putting together their sheet and figuring out what their character is going to do. So you want to have the respect to let them have their say, so to speak. I almost said let them have their way, but that's not really it because it's their world. What they say goes. They are the god of that world. And that is how things should be. Now you can be like, this is how I would do it if I were running the game, but have that respect to play by their rules, not the rules in the book. Because I'll tell you right now, any games table you go to for any tabletop gaming, there's going to be house rules. There's going to be rules that the particular game master will be like, this is how I do it here because reason. And that's fine. But we've wasted enough time on that one. On to number three. Number three is do have a character concept, but don't carve it in stone. Now, this works for both tabletop and for online gaming. You want to have a clear character concept in mind for your character. You want to know more or less what your character will do in any given circumstance. You want to know, is my character confrontational or are they more of a coward? Does my character know how to do this or don't they? You want to have that concept in mind, and you want to kind of have it be firm enough so that you can know at any given moment what your character is going to do. But you don't want to carve it in stone. You want that character concept to be a little flexible, a little adaptable, because you don't want you never should want your character concept to derail a campaign, basically, to derail a story. Because you don't want to come into something and be like, we can't do that because my character wouldn't do that. Be flexible. Be able to go to think up a reason as to why your character might do something they might normally not. Just as an example, your character might be a coward, might not want to go after, um, go into a dark, spooky house or something, but the other characters are going in, and they don't want to seem too cowardly because naturally they're their friends. They know he's already cowardly, but they don't want to be. He doesn't want to seem too cowardly, so he goes in because of peer pressure, or maybe because somebody's in there that he really likes and he wants to impress this person, or or maybe he wants to save somebody that's dear to him. So there's all kinds of reasons you can come up with. There's all kinds of give and take. So don't lose that flexibility when you make a concept. Number two, do play the game, but don't treat it as a game. Now, what I mean by that is, uh, as a player, you are always in mind that you're playing a game. You always know that. You know you're playing a game. And you want to play the game, but you want to play the character as well. You want to always have your character doing things that they would normally do under those circumstances. You don't really want to go. I mean, there are players out there that are known as min-maxers. They will always go for the most amount of bang for the least amount of cost in any character. They will spend hours making sure that their sheet is perfect so that they can destroy anything that comes in their way, even at low levels. And they do this, and that carries over when they're spending their experience points as the games progress. But that sort of thing can and does detract away from role playing. It does detract away from the story and the campaign as a whole. It can do this because then you're getting into a situation where, as a player, you're forcing the storyteller to reach deeper and deeper into the bag of tricks to keep a challenge going, simply because your character is so overpowered at such a low level. But there's also the fact that the other side of that coin is that it can be you can have it that you're as a player you are the treating the game as a game all the time. You're not letting yourself get wrapped up in the story. You're not letting yourself really enjoy it as much as you could be. And that almost is more of what I think should be done. You should always want to enjoy the story more than you are enjoying the game of the story. But that's just me. Now, number one, do and don't. Do make your character sheet make sense. Don't make them make sense. When I'm spelling that differently, you'll see that on the little image I would pop up. What I mean by that is you want your character sheet to be what's the word I'm looking for? You want it to make sense, basically, is really what I'm getting at. You want it to do that. Um, you don't want it to just be dots on a sheet or numbers on a sheet. You want it to be a fully fleshed out character. You want to be able to look at that sheet and go, okay, he has this many dots in archery, or he has this many points in this skill because of this reason in his backstory. You don't want to just be like, he has this many dots in potion making because that will let me heal, or that will let me create these things. You never want to do that. You always want to have a reason for why your character learns things. Because if you've got a paladin, for example, just random example, if you have a paladin, why would he learn something that goes against his ethos? Just because it would give your character a bonus to attacking. You see, you always have to mesh it with the concept. Sheet and concept really do have to mesh well together, and that's something that needs to be looked after. So that's it for my top 5 do's and don'ts for players. Um, Check out the companion piece of this, the top 5 do's and don'ts for game masters, because yes, I'm not leaving you out. Uh, until next time.